All right, so we'll begin with Jay. Jay, would you mind introducing your character for us, please?
Sure. For this game, I'll be playing Haku Rantan. He is a 17-year-old adventurer. He's got sort of a glint in his eye as far as someone that always wants to go out and sort of like get into some kind of mischief. He wears a sort of dark green tunic with chainmail underneath it, and he has sort of a homemade shield that he's made into sort of like a arm bracer. So in the items, it's a shield, but functionally that's like a piece of armor that he's created. He also wears a longsword with a sheath that has sort of like a kind of hunter's motif with like various hunting furs, which he also wears as almost like a flag or banner on his hip. Below that, he has like sort of normal dark blue pants, kind of like sailor-y looking, with leather boots. And he sports a mohawk with bright green hair.
Very good description. Thank you, Jay. Jer?
Yeah, okay. So Gum is a forest gnome, kind of brown complexion overall, kind of short, close-cropped hair. He is about 30 years old, or in his like mid-early 30s. And he, in terms of what he's wearing like a long cloak and a hat. He doesn't really want to be that conspicuous. He likes to blend into his surroundings. He's probably around trying to look for or investigate something, and so he will ask questions, but he doesn't really want to open himself up. He has that air of like suspicion around him. Other than that, in terms of weaponry, he does have a rapier, which he does wear on his side, that he can like open up his cloak a little bit to like show it in case he needs to be intimidating. Yeah. I don't know if you need anything else from me.
No, that was perfect. Thank you. Okay, Knight?
Okay, so Arli is a 20-year-old drow elf. He is kind of wide-eyed and very naive in a lot of ways. He seems to be very sheltered from just like kind of looking at him, the way he kind of regards the world in general, and his attitude and the way he talks and everything. He's wearing, I actually did art of him, which is pinned in the art chat, but, or it's in the art chat, I do believe. And, he is wearing, like kind of sparkly, a sparkly, like, pantsuit with a cloak, and for visible weapons, it's more like he is always carrying his violin, and you can't really see any weapons on him other than maybe using his violin as, like, a hammer, but other than that.
And we did see that artwork, and it was very, very helpful in kind of illuminating
Oh,
the expression.
thank you.
It was very good. No, wonderful. All right, last.
Ooh, there it is. How you doing?
Sam?
Oh, I'm playing Khal. He's a turtle. He's probably like in his 80s, so he's kind of old, but not, I mean, for his age, not completely far gone yet, but he's basically, when you think of him, think of Oogway from Kung Fu Panda.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So just think of that type of description, you know, kind of like a beaded type of like necklace. As for weaponry, he's really only carrying a little bag with a satchel basically, and he's walking around with a quarterstaff. And he's kind of like very slow moving until he decides to get a boogie.
Excellent. And I'm just going to let everyone know that Al, due to the holidays, did say that she was unavailable for today's session, and she'll catch up sooner rather than later. And she is playing a lovely fearless rogue, which will make things very interesting. So, I'm going to have everyone just follow the link, and if you can, please go ahead to sign into Roll20. The link should be posted. Just let me know when everyone is in there.
Dan, are you telling us if you're on the Roll20 game? Yeah.
Sorry, where's the link again? Sorry about that.
Is it posted? I do believe it's everything you need to know under Laconia.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Let me just double check. Yeah, it is there. Okay, so I seen it. Yep. Perfect, thank you. And everyone has put their character's name in there. Perfect. And like I said, you guys can all feel free to adjust the master volume. That soothing music of the sea is bothering you. It's certainly heavenly for someone like myself that lives next to the ocean, but I was gonna say, oh, not a fan of the music.
I'm just kidding. I love the ocean. I'm a Navy brat.
Alright, so what I'm going to do to begin is, like I said, I have defined starting coin. And to explain that is I've posted a listing of occupations that are known occupations, the ones that I could think of for Laikona. And as we explore the setting and the narrative, other ones may come up and then I'll, of course, add to it. But currently, the name merc or mercenary refers to anyone that's willing to get paid for random jobs, whether good or bad. Just people picking up random tasks and doing them. They're called mercs. So everyone has had some experience at this point picking up random jobs in and around where their backstories have had them living and stuff. And based on that, we're going to roll and see how successful you've been on getting jobs and finishing them and making some coins. So I have right now starting coin, and I have five different values, and each has a percentage assigned to it, and that's going to tell you how much starting silver everyone has. So the worst you can be is destitute, which means you've not got any jobs or finished any jobs and you've made no money. Then there's poor, and then there's modest, comfortable, and then prosperous. So we're going to do a reverse order here. And hopefully everyone has D&D Beyond open so you can use the link into Roll20. But we're going to do a reverse order. So, Khal, I'm going to have you in Roll20 do a /roll 1d100, and I will let you know your classification.
1d100?
Yeah, percentile roll, please. 92.
Oh.
Ah,
I'm
prosperous.
I'm done with my high rolls.
All right.
That's it. It's all downhill, guys.
Khal, can you roll me a d10, please? And roll 20. Did you hear me, Sam?
No. I was just reading what Jay wrote as part of inventory each coin.
Oh,
Can
you
say
roll
that
me a
again?
d10, please?
A D10?
One d10 and roll 20, please.
Got it. Yeah, it did. 10.
Oh god,
Oh.
nice.
All right, what sort of hacks have you put it in?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That kind of day, is it?
Well, we know who's going to be buying everything. You start with 520 silver pieces, sir.
Is that good?
Jesus.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Whatever you've been doing, you've been hustling, and you've been taking on contracts, and you've
You
been
said
making
520?
520 silver pieces.
Got it. Basically. 52
Alright.
gold, basically, right?
Don't convert it to gold. Leave it in
Oh,
silver.
but I know, it's all in silver, but it's just my mind. I know gold.
All right. So, Knight. First
Ugh.
thing, we're going to roll.
I gotta follow that. Oh. It's / and then it's, what's the command?
It's
Sorry.
roll, and then there's a space, and then the 1d100.
Oh, wait.
Ooh!
What?
Dan's so mad.
This party's going to be loaded.
Oh, yay! Because that's not me in real life, so.
I roll a d10, right? Or
Yeah, you got to roll a d10
Okay.
now.
I'm all on 10.
Oh, I messed that up. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, a 4.
Okay, not too bad. You have 220 silver pieces, Arli.
Awesome.
So you have also, this is a pretty successful group so far. Well, you're not a group yet, but you have been taking on contracts and you've been successfully fulfilling them, which means you've probably been well known in certain parts for your work.
I
Okay,
hit
Gum,
things with a stick.
let's see.
Okay. Ah, god. Alright. So it's / roll, right?
Yeah, / roll.
On D100. Okay. 66.
Not bad. You've made a modest living so far. So
Okay.
with a modest living, I'm going to have you roll a d10, please.
5. Super middling.
Average.
Yeah.
You have 30 silver pieces.
Okay, fair enough.
Oof.
You look at number 2 and see this huge coin sack, and you're like,
I'm walking around.
Gotcha. 30.
Is it canon that Khal like hides his money pouch like in his shelf?
Did it show? Yeah, of course it does.
Oh my god.
Here, let me.
Feels appropriate.
I'll pay for that. He just reaches in his shelf.
Like he tucks his head in and it comes out with some coin.
Oh my god.
Coins overflowing out of a shell.
So, functionally, a walking bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
But you don't know that.
Not
Okay,
yet.
Not.
Haku.
Oh! Oh!
What is that?
No,
I don't know
this
if
is-
that's even.
That's 100. That's 100. It's green.
Let
They
me-
rolled a
No,
0. In fact,
I rolled
they
a zero
rolled a
dice.
0.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I see what you did there, Tricky. Sam. And Karma, 36.
Okay.
No!
Oh, I'm broke.
Just barely. You just barely got above destitute.
Nice. I'm not good at my job, guys.
This is for you.
You are also 17, so maybe.
Yeah, you are 17, so
Yeah.
you're still learning.
You have 8 silver pieces, sir.
Awesome.
That was more than
Living the
I did
life,
at
guys.
17, so...
It sounded like you just finished your very first job.
Yeah. I'm all about it, guys. Let's go.
Okay. So, that'll come into play as we explore Seacrest, but now that we have gotten it out of the way, see, I have to get my special narrative voice, which I don't have. So, you find yourself in the coastal village of Seacrest, the cool sea breeze blowing relentlessly from the breakwater bay. The smell of salt and green fills your nostrils as you see several merchants haggling over fish in the market. Your reverie is broken by the sounds of a ringing bell. A young boy, clad in brown breeches and a dirty white top, proceeds to ring a small handbell. Gather ye, gather ye! Maester Oriah seeks an audience with those who are willing to work for coin. And it just so happens that the 4 of you are out and about amongst the market and see this young gentleman, and he continues to walk another 5 feet before he repeats his same phrase. And if I can direct your attention, I will now take you over to, my attempts to have a town map.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And I will
I like it.
edit
Pretty
this
good.
in players journal. All players save in. You guys now have, if you go over to your character sheets, there is now a handout for Seacrest, which gives you a little bit of information. The population, the commerce, the type of government, its climate, places of interest, roads in and out, as well as kind of, gosh, what's the term? A legend, sorry. A legend for the buildings. So you guys are all in by the docks, so you're in by the fish market, just kind of gathering as this young lad is walking through and down the path, saying, "Gather ye, gather ye! Meister Oriah seeks an audience with those who are willing to work for coin." And from there, we'll just break off into the roleplay. Oh, by the way, it is roughly November, so it's coming into the winter solstice in roughly 60 days. So the temperature is on the cool side, I would say. During the day, it's the low 50s. At night, it dips to the high 30s. All right.
Okay.
Everyone talk?
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so the boy has pushed his way through the market and is headed towards the southern part. He's walking around the corner. You see several merchants in here. You can tell they're merchants by the way they're dressed. There's 2 young ladies that are standing behind various barrels and counters, selling all sorts of different types of fish. But you're all kind of standing there, kind of like gawking at this point.
Khal is just gonna slowly, and using his quarterstaff almost like a cane, slowly start walking forward, making his best impression look like an old.
Do I know where the Meister is? Am I familiar enough with this town?
I'm gonna say that it's everyone's first time in Seacrest. But Meister, for anyone, because they're used everywhere, is basically the village elder.
So the Meister is looking for people to hire for gold or for coin.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know the location of his house? Like, is that easily visible from where I am?
You can make a perception check.
Okay, I'll see if I know where I'm going. Oh, I could do that on... Okay. Boom. Okay. 17.
Okay, so the layout of Seacrest is like the layout of the other towns and villages on the map. They all seem to have kind of a tribal system where there's a village elder called the Meister that's elected, basically the village elder. Most of these elders actually live within the special building called the Meister Netzstadt, which is basically it's usually a large stone frame building situated in the middle of the house or middle of the town or village, and it usually has like a high-pitched oak slab roof, and it's they have like their own kind of personal quarters within that building, but it's usually like a large building in the middle of town. With your perception, actually, Gum, looking westward from where you are, you can actually see that the building is actually it's north of you from where you're standing there. Yep, you can see it just basically up the road. There's a road from where you are now.
Okay.
So that's the Mesta Netzstadt. Of course, it's on the legend there. I am just going to take this time to caution everyone. The way that I roleplay with my players are if you take notes, what you write in your notes is what your character remembers. So if you don't take notes and you can't remember, then unfortunately your character won't remember.
Okay.
So depending on how you want to play, meticulous note taker or just haphazardly, that's just recalling information. So like in future games, you're like, remember that? I'm like, do you remember?
Okay.
Do you?
And another thing is, and this is mostly for Gum and Arli. So right now, a lot of our characters are what I consider blank canvases, which means we don't really know what they know and what they don't know. We know specific things pertaining to your background because we discussed that in session 0. But as we progress, we're going to do a bunch of skill checks. In those skill checks, the dice are going to dictate the narrative, and they're also going to allow us to understand, does your character know this, or do they not know that? So it's interesting because as information, if you're trying to gather information, we'll find out together if your character knows it or not. And of course, if your character doesn't know it, and another PC's character does, and they wish to share it, then it becomes shared knowledge. So that's kind of how that happens. So yeah, it's a really kind of organic and fun process for character development.
Okay. Sounds good.
And,
Speaking of
sorry.
that, go ahead.
No, sorry, just a really quick question. And we are currently in the fish market, yes?
Yes, you guys are
Okay.
in location number 2. I'm just plunking it right in there. The young boy is currently walking south towards the very last building. That's where his destination would be because then the road kind of bends around and kind of loops back. But he's obviously heralding that the Meister is looking for people for work. Now, right now, you're actually in fish stalls, so I'll give you a little bit more description on what you see. So, in this corner of the village, it's not far from the docks, are like 2 long stalls with cloth ceilings, and below the cloth is an angled display of various fish. Most of it is lying on a bed of salt for keeping it pure. And like I said, there's 2 females dressed in just normal plain flowing kind of robes and an apron tied in front of them. One is blonde and one is brunette, and they're haggling with various merchants. There's probably about 4 different merchants. You can tell by their bright colors and stuff. And the merchants are procuring various types of fish. I don't think anyone has a sailor background, so maybe identifying the fish would be more based on asking or making a skill check. But you just see there's a lot of fish on there, and they're buying it, presumably to take it inland to sell it at taverns and what have you.
I'm going to approach the boy, and I'm going to try to do kind of almost like a superhero pose to try to make myself look more impressive, despite the fact that I'm a 17-year-old swordsman. And I want to ask him if the job requires a brave swordsman.
Okay, so he kind of heroically comes up to you, and he has just finished ringing his bell. And, good day, sir. We'll just do it in roleplay. Jay, how are you today?
Good. I hear that your master is hiring?
Yes. He has paid me to voice and decree it. He's looking for people to come work for him.
Well, I am people. Does he need a brave swordsman?
Well, presumably yes. Presumably he didn't tell me what it was for, but we have had some sailors go missing, so that could require a sword.
Fantastic. Where is your master? I'll find the details from him myself.
Yes. If this is your first time in Seacrest, it's this building right, and he turns around and points right up the street. Kind of up on the rise is the big building stone building that I described earlier. He's in there, and you know what? There hasn't been a lot of interest. Not a lot of out of town folks. So.
Well, I'm happy to help, and I appreciate your guidance here. And Haku's gonna sort of reach into his coin pouch, and since it's really empty, gonna reach as far deep as he can, and pull out one of his 8 silvers and hands it to the boy before sort of striding off.
The boy's eyes widen. Sorry, I'm being paid for. Oh, thank you. You kind of see him rubbing the coin between his thumb and his index finger, and then he puts it in his pocket, and he continues walking. So Haku is marching up, and your fast pace has presumably you catch up to the shorter individual known as Gum. Arli, what are you doing in this situation?
Well, he was a little bit distracted by the stalls and the fish, and just kind of it looks like he's never been in a place like this before, and he's kind of seen this interaction in front of him, and he thinks it's very endearing. And he's kind of hanging back, but he's definitely following, kind of wondering what's going on exactly, and he's curious. But he also just thinks that these 2 children, in his eyes, are just extremely endearing, so he kind of wants to see where this is going. So he's just kind of following along, just a little bit further back.
Yeah, you just kind of see them walking, and then you kind of fall in file.
Yeah.
No, I can definitely picture that. That makes sense. And Khal, I know that you've been leaning on the support of your staff. What would you be doing?
Khal is just basically doing his best old man walk up north.
Okay, so you're
just slowly trudging with the thing, making sure not to move too fast, not to hear the coin shake.
Okay.
Right now.
That's a good detail.
He's just slowly walking and kind of hamming it up a little bit, he has a bum right leg.
Oh.
Okay, so you guys can all hear the distant clang of the bell and the muffled sounds of the crier far to the south. But at this point, you've reached the stone structure, and you all kind of come to it. actually the front of it has kind of an opening with two hides that are kind of on one side, and there's a loop and a hook. Maybe Arli can describe this, but it's kind of like a button, but it's not. It's like a knot that comes through it to clasp it close together.
Like, sorry, a slip knot, or?
Yeah, I guess it would be like a slip knot. There's a knot on one side, and then there's a loop. And the knot comes through
it's the marriage knot. It's the Greek knot.
Oh, okay.
On either side, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's
There's a knot
fascinating.
and then a knot. Yeah, it's a marriage knot.
I was leaning on your expertise for that. Thank you.
I don't know knots, but I think that's what you're explaining.
Okay, so you all kind of like look around and say, oh, these are everyone that's kind of heard it and is interested. So you're all standing anxiously outside of the Meister Netzstedt.
Okay. Gum, I guess, notices that this young 17-year-old person is walking beside or behind him. And I guess is this the first time that we've interacted with each other? Just
Yeah.
double checking.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. So you fancy yourself a hero? Kind of like dismissively to this younger kid who's like half his age.
So Haku just sort of like puffs up his chest a little bit more, says, "I am a hero."
And then I guess Gum will like chuckle a little bit, and then says, "After you then, hero," and then like opens up the thing to let him go through first.
And with sort of like a deep, flourishing bow, Haku just kind of like strides in confidently. But sort of, actually, Dan, what does the room look like beyond?
As the flap is kind of pulled back, you just look in and you can see it's dark from the interior. There are torches hanging along, kind of like there's a wooden beam trim, roughly like 8 feet tall above the frame, and from there's various torches. It's what appears to be one large singular room, and you see there's a lot of kind of rows of long benches inside, probably about 6, and then a space, then another 6. At the front, there's 3 large oak chairs, and that's as far as you can pertain just from like peeking in before going in.
Okay, so as Haku sort of like begins to stride in, he kind of falters a step, gazing inside, and then immediately sort of like starts hugging the wall and kind of following where the torches are before sort of like finding a spot comfortably underneath one of them and standing there.
Okay, and Gum, as you are holding the flap open for Haku, you see Arli walking up.
Was I within earshot to hear this exchange, or did I not?
You can give me a perception. I'll see
Okay.
if you will let the dice dictate that.
Okay, let's see if I can. Let's hope this extension works for me.
Oh yeah, you heard the exchange. You have pretty good hearing.
Okay, so Arli looks up and he kind of looks at Gum, and he like raises a brow and he's like, "You should not mock him. He seems to have noble ambitions," before walking in.
And then Gum will roll his eyes and say, "Noble ambitions are wasted on the young, but okay."
Okay, as you go in, Gum, you hear the shuffling, the very faint shuffling of someone coming up behind you, just as you close the flap. Unless you give pause or not.
I hear it in time?
Yeah. I can't mimic it, but the sound of someone shuffling. You need to have that on your soundboard, Sam.
Yeah, I need to find some to watch.
Okay. I almost like facepalm a little bit, being like, "Oh my god. How many adventurers are there in this town?" But I will try and do like a greeting as well to this person.
Alright, you turn around and see this aged, olded Tortle. Now, turtles in this particular are fairly uncommon. Like I said, a lot of the other standard races are all intermixed, but turtles are very rare to see, especially in aged ones. So you kind of rub your eyes a little bit, and then like you've heard of them, but you've probably never met another turtle before.
Okay. Does he say hi to me first, or do I say I could?
Well, you're just looking at him right now,
Okay.
and he's going about his business.
Okay. And I guess I'll say, are you here for the coin as well, sir?
Coin? Say coin. Yes, I'm here for the coin. And kind of looks forward again and slowly keeps walking. A little slides, little hobble.
12 minutes later.
Yeah, I'm like, join the queue, and then
Okay, so
let him go
Kind of
through.
nods at him and then keeps walking. He kind of has like an old man smile, like he might be crazy.
yeah,
Oh.
that wry smile, right?
Yeah,
So you're all
like
gathered in,
oblivious to the world.
Okay.
Go ahead.
and you notice everyone kind of notice it's kind of dark and smoky in here. You notice with the torches burning, the actual floor of the building is dirt. It's like packed dirt, and there's a little bit of a raised dais that these three large oak chairs are sitting on. There's three of them. It's not very high. It's probably about a foot, but it's just off the ground. And there's behind the raised dais and the chairs, there's some long kind of like linen and silk kind of curtains, almost like a Broadway curtain when they're changing sets. It's just kind of draped down, so you can't really see what's going on behind there. And you hear some movement, and then out behind the curtain, it kind of pulls open, and you see this this older female kind of comes out, and she has this long, wavy white hair. She has pointed ears, kind of almond-shaped eyes, and she has a very kind of soft face. And she's just wearing kind of like a cloak around her shoulders and a long white dress that kind of there's stitching along the bottom, kind of like accent. And she comes out from behind the curtain and kind of like eyes the room. Yes. Hello. You would be the mercenaries, right? Greetings. I am Meister Aurelia.
Greetings, my lady. My name is Haku Renton, and I am at your service.
She nods. I see we have a very diverse group. And she kind of leisurely strolls over to the kind of the dais and comes over and sits comfortably in the chair and, crosses her ankles. She's very kind of sits up properly in her chair. Said, yes, we've had some troubles in Seacrest recently. 3 of our sailing vessels have gone missing over the past week, and it has been some cause of concern, as this is not common.
I guess I'll pipe up. Sailing vessels, how did they go missing? It's tough to miss a ship.
They have not returned. The sailors head out in the morning, and they catch fish, and they're usually back by dawn load. First, there was one ship that was missing roughly 6 days ago. It never returned. And then just 3 days ago, 2 of those sailing vessels did not return. And it's got everyone in the town very alarmed. As you may know, fishing is a very big livelihood here, and of course, the lives of my citizens are concerned to me. The fact that they're missing without any strong storms is very, very upsetting.
So Arli's going to move forward a little bit and just kind of, well, what do the villagers or the townsfolk think is going on?
I try not to put too much stock into rumors. They're saying that their ship has sunk. There's talk of sea monsters and nonsense such as that. We've had sailors go missing, but usually they got caught in bad weather. The fact that 3 of our vessels have gone missing and none of the crew has returned is fairly abnormal, and I just can't spare any sort of manpower to go look for them.
Is that what we're here for?
Yes, that's why the call for mercenaries was decreed, and I sent out the crier.
Well, I'll be more than happy to help. And maybe my dark elfin friend person thing, and just kind of gestures at Arli.
Arli kind of looks at him and he's like, Arli is the name.
Pleasure, Haku Ranton. Nice
Lovely
to meet you.
to meet you. Arli seems a little bit confused at this. He probably turns back to her and I would be more than happy to extend my aid. However, I find it odd that this has never happened before. You don't have any history of perhaps raiders, pirates, rocks that people tend to miss, new sailors. It seems odd that this came out of the blue.
Yes. So, we have had issues with weather. Not so much raiders. Rocks. I can assure you that most of our sailors are well versed with those areas where it's dangerous to sail. All that I know is within the last month, fish stocks locally here in Breakwater Bay have been low, so they may have been venturing outside of the bay, more into the Christine Sea, and that's probably where the trouble began.
Arli processes the information and he kind of, it seems like he's thinking to himself and he steps back to let someone else perhaps question and just kind of internalize the information.
I guess Gum will motion to this group and says, well, I don't know how much help we can be. I mean, we're not exactly sailors or anything. What do you expect us to do? Do you want us to swim out to sea?
She lets out a small chuckle. My dear, no, I wish someone to wholeheartedly agree to contract and investigate. I need someone to sail out past Breakwater Bay and see what is out there, see if they can find wreckage. The 2 other sailing vessels dare not go. They are refusing to leave the bay. This is why the call for mercenaries was needed. Mercenaries do the jobs that no one else wants to do.
True enough.
And what's in it for us then? We talk about what it needs to be done, but what happens after it's done? What do we get in return for this?
Monetary compensation, of course, to be discussed. I'm no spring chicken, good sir. I've been around, and I know that mercenaries like to get paid, we can come to agreed upon sum for proper investigation.
Khal is kind of just still sitting there blank there.
Not to interrupt. Does anyone notice the giant turtle sitting there?
He slowly turns his head and looks at him. Looks at Gum, kind of slowly and creepily.
Or it kind of smiles and say,
Yeah.
Master Tortle, you've chosen a good time to show up in Seacrest. I know of your kind and your prowess in the water. Tell me, have you been out to sea lately? Where's you come from?
I've been inland for a while. I've kind of given up on the sea since. I haven't seen many of my kind lately outside.
Fair enough.
Everything okay?
Whoops.
Nope. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's like, everything okay?
Gum, are you possessed?
Yeah.
Comes to this. Called it. BBG, right there.
Get the gnome.
So Haku's going to continue being very confused at sort of Khal talking. It's like, there's more of them?
Generally, yes.
Ah,
Hmm.
nice to meet you. My name's Haku Ranton. Pleasure. Turtle? Talking turtle? Turtle?
You can call me Khal.
Khal! Nice to meet you, Khal, the talking turtle.
So, Master Khal, do you have any aversions to working for coin on the sea?
Khal kind of just starts shaking a little bit, and you hear the coin in his shell. Money's always good.
So it seems. So are we in agreement?
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, if everyone here wants to, although, Master Gnome, my name is Haku. I don't think we've met.
Master Gnome, I could get used to that. But it's Gum, by the way.
Pleasure. Haku Ranton. I imagine that this would be our group then. If Khal, was it, is willing to sail us, I think we could do this job.
I wouldn't say I have a sailor's background. It's more of me just swimming alone. Then he puts out his hands and like, pretty good at swimming.
And you'll be pleased to know we do have 2 vessels currently anchored here. You may have noticed it by the docks. There's a lovely caravel as well as a longboat, and they frequently run charters. I do believe both the captains are currently in the tavern, probably getting pissed drunk, but that's the last I heard they were there. They might be of some service as well if you're looking for a start.
Arli kind of looks up and he's like, that's definitely a start. Seeing as you just told us that sailors who were very experienced have been going missing, I don't fancy our odds as new shipmen going out to solve a mystery. So perhaps we should start there.
So I guess the next course of action is to discuss your compensation for such tasks. Agreed?
Khal's eyes light up.
Maybe
Yes.
you can all
Yes.
discuss amongst yourself. I'm not looking for heroics. I'm looking for an explanation as to what happened to my sailing vessels, and is it safe for us to sail out of Breakwater Bay. I'll retire to the back and give you a moment to parley, and then we can settle terms. And with that, she kind of gets up very gracefully in her chair, and her kind of robes billow out around her as she walks back to the back curtain.
Well, she's nice.
I make a comment to Haku and say, "So, is this the adventure that you've always dreamed about? Finding missing ships in a backwater bay?"
Haku sort of like grins and says, "Anything I can do to help."
Arli points at Haku and he's like, "I like him."
Ugh.
I like you too. I've never seen an elf that looks quite like you, though. Are you sparkly, or is that the torches?
I'm sparkly. Yes.
That's really cool.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I've never seen an elf like me either. Adopted. Just to clarify to us all, we are all not sailors thinking about taking on a mission which requires us to sail. Yes?
Correct.
I've never said no to anything, really, so, I mean, I've been on a boat.
I appreciate that you have been on a boat. I feel like that will be helpful. But I just don't know how helpful if, in fact, we are facing for perhaps pirates or rocks or sea monsters or any other creature in the world that could be in the ocean.
Fair point.
Arli does not look happy.
Yeah, neither does Gum, but okay.
And Haku is just grinning like an idiot. You guys could probably tell that.
Jay, we go north.
Yeah, let's go. So Haku is actually going to look over at Khal. You said you know how to swim, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen regular sea turtles. I mean, I'm just kind of bigger and have their arms. Same thing, you know.
And then Haku just kind of claps his hands. He's like, "That's a start! I think we can do this, guys."
Khal is talking about, like, you know, there's the breaststroke, there's the freestyle, the stroke. I mean, they're all pretty good. I can hold them. He's just gonna keep talking, guys. Sometimes, you know, if the weather pertains to swim underwater.
I feel like while your talents are most noted and appreciated, and I feel like you have a wide variety of them, I feel like maybe what we could do is perhaps convince one of the captains to come with us. He would know the area and the boat, and she did say that they were afraid. However, perhaps we could convince them.
Maybe we can cut them in on whatever pay we ask?
That would be a fantastic start.
We should figure
How
out
much are we asking for?
Yeah.
Arli is just kind of like, we're asking for money.
I mean,
ask for money. Sounds like a poor thing.
again, Haku's gonna open his coin purse and just watch another moth fly out. Dan, quick question:
Yeah.
Are you just letting us freeform how much we get paid, or is there sort of like a scale as far as like what jobs are usually paid that we might know about?
Well, the scale is what you got paid on your last job, which is the coins in your purse, and maybe what Khal has in his coin purse, having completed various number of jobs. That's a good scale.
Okay.
Can I ask a question really fast?
Yeah.
So, like, when you're saying jobs, are you talking about, like, problem-solving jobs, like mercenary jobs, or would it be jobs pertaining to our background? Like, since, like, he's a musician, would he be playing for people, or would it be more like mystery kind of things?
So the type of jobs, I would say normal jobs or like fetch jobs, like go get me this or bring me that.
Mm-hmm.
Errand jobs. Have been exploration jobs, few and far between. Usually because of the need of it. It's not like this setting is very low fantasy, low magic. It's very new, so there's not a lot of. I mean, other than the lore and the history in the past, it's not like people go out and kill monsters all the time. Like people do go out and hunt and stuff. But the type of jobs are just think about jobs that people like normally wouldn't want to do because of the occupations. Maybe like a modern day courier, I suppose. And a lot of times, sometimes it's escorting a merchant if he feels like his valuables. But it's not like there's a lot of raiders and stuff because people just don't like want to live in the woods by themselves. It's dangerous, right? So people tend to stick to the main roads, which are patrolled by the horse riders, and they tend to go from town to town and try to be out of town when they settle in. No one just like makes camp overnight in the middle of the woods unless they can really help it.
Okay, I see.
So Haku, looking into his coin purse, is going to kind of look up at the group and he's like, well, I made 10 silver on my last job, but that was just holding a torch for a miner. Maybe we ask for 15 each?
Yeah. Can Cal make like a, how much a job? I don't know,
If you want to, if anyone wants to message me, whisper at me, and Roll20, and say what the average amount for your jobs are, then you can all discuss. Then I can certainly oblige. Or unless you all verbally agree to ask that, and I'll send out whispers.
Okay. Let me try and work this out through Gum. Gum says, I mean, looks to me like a fishing town that can't fish is shit out of luck. If they need us to find out if they can fish, I mean, that's pretty good leverage.
Arli kind of perks up at that, and he kind of extends a hand, and he's like, but then again, the good favor of the people for not scalping them during their time of need would be worth more later than a few coins in our purse.
You'll stick around in this town?
No, but having friends everywhere is important. Also, being helpful and good-natured and kind, I guess, is important.
The returns on kindness are much smaller than you'd think.
And yet there are returns, so.
I agree with Arli. It didn't even occur to me to be asking for more than that. But I mean, if we can help the town, I feel like that's more important.
He's optimistic.
God damn it. I look at Khal and be like, is this... Like, what are we doing with these kids?
Cal, again, their mind is like, face blank.
Yes.
It's like, I mean, Kyle kind of pipes in like, I don't know, my last job, I just protected a nobleman and, she got a big tip. I mean, we're charging for anything. I mean, you know, I'm old and fragile, so, you know, you're paying for my insurance, so, anywhere from 30 pieces of silver, all you do.
Mm-hmm. Well, Haku said 15, right? That was the number?
Yeah.
Did you say 15 each or 15 per total?
15 each. So I'm not great at math. I think that's 60?
Yeah.
Yes.
15 times 4. 5. Carry the 2. Huh? Yeah.
Arli kind of looks at Gum, who seems to be the one who's the most on the edge, and he's like, if we agree that 60 for the group is applicable here, would you agree to come with us if I gave you my share?
Fine.
Okay.
Since we need to work together, it seems. I can't swim.
I can swim. Very easy. Just put one hand in front of the other and just dog paddle. You see
Not
the
too
dog,
many
right?
deep oceans in the woods, but okay.
Well, it might be kind of hard when you're, looks at him because you're a gnome, right?
Yeah.
I said that out of character, but he looks at it. It might be difficult with smaller appendages. And he kind of goes back, just gets lost in thought. He's probably thinking of a scenario of you trying to swim.
Arli, wait, you're going to give your entire share to Gum?
If that secures his place in the party, I'd rather have more people than less. It's about a safety, as a group. Besides, I'm not wanting for coin. I'd rather just help people.
Okay, that's fair. I was more worried that we might have to pay the sailors out of our own pockets, which mine are rather empty.
That's true.
So-
Look at Gum.
Khal kind of says, well,
Yeah.
we can always go discuss with the sailors how much they would charge. Take us out there, then we can come back and decide on a price to ask for.
Okay.
That's smart.
Okay.
I am very wise. So Orly, I'm saying other people's name now. Khal kind of gets up and very slowly grunting. He gets up and starts walking out the door, trying to find the. He's like, "I'll be back. I'm gonna go try to find the captain." Probably not fit for me to talk to them, so.
Shouldn't we wait for Aurelia and or Aurelia? Oh, damn it, Araya!
We're going.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we can't name a price if we don't know the price of passage from a ship. We will have to hire them, so information is key when asking a price.
Gosh.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
Guess we're
I'll kind of
going.
like raises his neck a little bit and raises. We'll be back.
Oh my god.
Starts walking out the door.
Okay, and Meister
Okay.
Aria kind of peeks her head out from behind the curtains and she nods. I'll be here.
And Arli kind of mutters under his breath. He's like, that woman has the patience of a saint.
She is really nice, isn't she?
Seems so.
Master Turtle Cow, do you need help? You seem to be moving rather slowly.
I'm good. These legs can take me places. Watch and learn, kid. And then he slowly starts speeding up again to a faster pace, but still slow.
Okay, so everyone, you can, as you leave, you can actually hear distant music coming from a building kind of to the southwest, and kind of look over and see kind of a curl of smoke rising from a chimney. With the passive perceptions, yeah, you get a sense of that's where the tavern is, and you see a bunch of people kind of like staggering down from like the street that connects here. Some of them making their way to their homes, kind of leaning on each other. So enough passive perception to kind of gauge where the salty cod is. If you guys want to make your way there.
Okay.
Khal will make his way there.
Because everyone was going together, right?
Yeah, I think we're moving as a
Like-
group.
So, am I forcing everyone to walk slower?
Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have to.
That's what I'm saying. I want to know if if in character decided to be slow, just to stay with me, or they walk ahead.
I'm pretty sure Haku will be behind you, like scared that you're gonna fall over the entire time, kind of shadowing behind you. But yes, walking slower.
Yeah. I'll walk behind.
Yeah, Arli's gonna walk just kind of behind with the others next to Haku.
Khal's gonna turn around. You guys are slow. How are you guys behind? You turn back around and keep walking.
Okay, guys, before we move into the tavern, I'm just going to pause and get some water. I'm also going to save this recording, just preemptively, so if anyone needs to get a drink or anything, I'll just pause for roughly 2 minutes, and then get back into action, okay? Alright, so you have approached the Salty Cod. The Salty Cod is a tavern, it looks like a wooden row house. It actually has kind of brown shingled roofs. There's actually a large, probably a good sized 20-foot cod mounted above the door. It's kind of doing the weird kind of twist turn thing that fishes do when they're stuffed. You open the door inside, you can actually see several paintings of seascapes on the wall, and there's various prices on them. Various artists are selling their pictures. In the central part of the tavern, there's a big cook, kind of like a stone, cinder bricks or stone bricks, kind of piled in a big circle, and there's a big pot that's bubbling in the middle of it. And there's actually a really cool bluefin swordfish, even though you guys probably don't know what a swordfish is, but typically has a long pointed nose and the big cool sailback on the back of it, and kind of like a deep blue on the top and kind of a light kind of gray on the bottom. But behind the bar, there's a huge one that's mounted there. As you walk in, there's various seats, but you see, as you walk in, a man and a woman in a contest of, they appear to be arm wrestling, and they're yelling at each other, and they're like, "You'll not get the best of blasted woman!" And you see this gentleman that's locked in, and she's just barely calmly just staring at him, just like not even looking at their hands as they're going back and forth, and she's just like burning intense eyes on him. And as you kind of all shuffle in, we'll open up with a lovely discussion. There is a group of roughly 8 individuals all kind of huddled around them as they're arm wrestling, kind of jeering and going, "Ah, you can do it! Come on! Bryce, you got her! You got her, Bryce!"
Is there anyone placing bets?
There isn't, actually. Not that you can see any exchange or wagers. You might have already taken beforehand.
Khal will study this.
You can see the individual, the male human, with kind of brown curly hair and beads of sweat coming down, and his cheeks are starting to fluster red. The female has dark green eyes, almond-shaped. You can see little edges of pointed ears jutting out from behind her long, braided blonde hair, and she's just staring at him.
Arli leans over to the group and he's like, "My money is on the woman."
What do you say that to?
Just like kind of the group in general.
How about you ante up any silver pieces?
I don't know if I'm going to bet real. More like honor.
Yeah.
he's a little wary of this jingling turtle. He's like, I don't know if I should take your attention.
I'm rolling deep, baby.
And sure enough, he seems to exert himself, and he's kind of like, you can see the hand move over and more in his favor as her hand goes, and you can see that she's kind of like not unbridled, but you can see that she's losing leverage, and he kind of like lifts off his chair, and he stands up, and her hand smacks down. And then they're kind of ruckus of boos. It's like, you're cheating! That's not fair! Disqualified! And then there's two sides, and they're all yelling at each other. And the kind of general people yelling back and forth for either side. All the meanwhile, there's an individual that's just standing. He's cleaning mugs behind the bar, and just kind of has kind of like this wry grin. It's this older human, and he's got this like gray hair that's greasy, but it's slicked back, kind of like, I'm not gonna. Well, I guess sometimes Italian men like slick their hair all the way back. It is
like
the
my
look.
uncle.
It is like the look, right? But
Nice.
it's down, and the hair is long enough that it's down to like his shoulders. He does have like a gray goatee. He has very dark eyes, and you actually notice that he has like scarring, like a scratch that goes across his left set of his left eye. His eye is open, he can see out of it, but there's clearly 3 long jagged lines that go across his brow and then down his cheek. He seems to notice you as you all enter the tavern and kind of nods.
Khal will make his way to the bar. And he kind of just like blankly stare at him for a little bit too long. To the point where he starts maybe getting uncomfortable by the stare, maybe.
He's the gentleman behind the bar.
Right, he's about to say something. He's like,
Looking for a drink?
"What do you have to drink?"
Here. He kind of tosses you. It looks like it's some bark, but there's actually kind of like ink writing on the inside of the bark. It's kind of like the bark isn't. It's kind of like probably the size of a piece of paper, maybe half the size of a piece of paper actually. But there's writing, and it's obviously his menu. Give me 1 second here. I will.
Mystic is jamming.
Everyone should now have the menu, just so everyone knows what's available. He said, "This is pretty much what we sell, unless you're looking for water."
Oh, gosh.
What about your friends? They're gonna pay, drink some food, you know.
Haku actually is going to go over to the crowd, and I want to see if I can kind of listen for any names or anything that's coming up between the sort of arguing sides.
Okay, yeah, just give me a perception check.
Okay.
They're fairly boisterous. I mean, they've stopped arm wrestling, and the female's just kind of eyeing down the guy who has his arm in his chair. His arms are crossed, very defensively. Very nice roll, 20.
Nice.
Sweet.
So the female, her name is Miri, and she seems to have roughly 6 individuals that are all kind of like cheering her on and patting her on the shoulders and stuff and saying that, you know, that was unfair and he was like, you know, there was a human there named Boris and there's another human there named Tark. You catch their names. And the gentleman Bryce, he has a supporter, and his supporter name is, let's see, where did I have that? He has a female companion named Sulin, and there's a half-orc there named Turgaz. And then there's another individual that's just not saying anything. That's also human.
Arli isn't saying anything, but he's definitely kind of followed Haku and is just kind of standing, just generally kind of in that area. But he's just watching. He's not doing anything.
And what about you, Gum?
Gum will ask for a glass of water because he needs to keep his wits about him.
Okay.
And then he jabs his thumb behind him at the arm wrestling match and asks, "So, does this sort of thing happen often here at the Salty Cod?"
All the time. And sailors have nothing better to do. They come in here, drink, spend their coin, and have contests of strength.
Sailors, you say? All of them?
Oh yeah.
That's the usual crowd?
There's less
Restless, I
now.
bet. Yeah, restless, I bet, since I heard you can't really go out the bay anymore.
Wow. These particular folk, they like to do charters as well, whatever pays more.
Who would you recommend?
Well, that depends on what you're doing. See, Miri over there, she has a really nice vessel. Large caravel. Can sail quite a ways away. Fairly sturdy and reliable. But it depends if you want to hug the shore. Then you might want to go to Bryce. He's got those longboats. They can slick up river beds, pull on shore fairly easy. A little less comfortable because it's close to the water. I suppose whatever you're doing.
And he goes, "So, this Miri person, what can you tell me about her? She seemed to be handling that quite well until the end. That arm wrestling competition."
Why don't you go ask her yourself? She's a firecracker, that one.
I suppose. I don't have anyone... Okay, out of character.
Yep.
Well, I guess I won't. I was just wondering which person we should talk to, but I guess I'll just talk. I'll just roleplay it. So I guess Gum will go over up to Miri, and say, "I heard you're quite the sailor."
Ah, you've heard about me then. I've been around these waters quite some time. And then Bryce leans in.
Yep.
Yeah, he just kind of interjects. He goes, "Are you looking for a charter? I'm your man, Bryce. I can get you anywheres. Don't take her ship."
What do the two of you have to offer? I know about your ships, but... And I look at Bryce, but he seems like the more capable sailor. All things considered, given how he just bested you.
Are you saying that to Miri?
Yes, to Miri.
She stares, and you can see a burning glaze in her eyes, and she kind of slams her fist down. Said, "He cheated, and you know that." And then Bryce kind of lets off a soft chuckle. It's my boat is faster than yours. I have a reliable crew. Whatever you need. Where are you going, pal?
What do the two of you know about these disappearances? Surely you have sailor friends who've gone missing.
They both kind of give pause and pick up a glass and take a long slow drink of mead and put it down. Yes. And this is Bryce, by the way. We're all friends here. Sailors that go and fish. They're good, honest folk, just trying to make a living. They have their sea boats, which are, to be fair, a normal boat that isn't meant for chartering. It's just like a regular sea boat, so it would have like a hull, kind of like a dory, but then it would have like a cap, kind of like a cabin almost, that they would kind of sit in, and long nets that they pull out. So it has kind of like an extended end. I'll throw up a visual at some point. But it's not like a chartered boat where a longboat is, if you envision a traditional kind of Viking longboat, and a caravel is just a larger hull with a main mast and larger sails.
Okay.
And Miri kind of like, she kind of like, the color in her face when she kind of got angry kind of like fades for a moment, and she says, "Listen, I'm not going to compete with Bryce. You're going to go with the boat that makes the most sense. I have a crew here, 5 good people that I would trust with my life. We can withstand strong winds. We've been out of port. We've been farther than that boat. And you know it, Bryce. Gone all the way to Volkmore." Bryce nods. "Ah, you have." And with that, she kind of like goes silent and just looks down into her glass.
Out of character, I'm fine with other people interjecting, or I could just keep talking.
Can Arli and from where we're standing, can we hear this exchange?
You can give me a perception roll. I should actually record everyone's passives. If everyone wants just to shoot me your passive perceptions, I'll write it down.
14 passive perception on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, 14 passive perception for Arli.
Haku's got 12.
I just met Haku and I would already die for him. I just want you to know.
Khal?
the turtle. Khal.
Khal? You hear all, Arli, apparently. Does Sam go
I'm a
AFK?
seer.
I don't know. Sam, you alive?
14.
Okay,
I was on mute. I was talking like normal, and oh my god. No, I was gonna say I was gonna interject, but again, mine is not gonna move the story forward. So that's why I was letting you talk.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. You were kind of running that gum, so I didn't want to
Yeah.
kind of jump in there.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I'm gonna say, Haku, you made a perception roll, so I'll let you live with that one, but everyone else casually hears this exchange. It's, other than the music that's coming from a small group of minstrels in the corner, there's 3 of them performing this awesome set piece, just rocking out.
Nice.
Everyone else in the tavern appears to be the sailors, and then plus another individual that seems to know one of the sailors that's hanging about. But all the other tables are clearly emptied, mostly probably because it's midday and people that have jobs are actually working.
Right. Okay.
Arli is going to catch Gum's eye if he can. Like, he waves his hand a little bit and makes eye contact with him, and then he flicks his eyes towards the woman who
Miri?
I'm sorry, Miri. Yes, I didn't to butcher her name, Miri, and he nods at her, like he's saying, like, I would choose her.
Okay.
Khal is just still reading the menu. It kind of his head.
The bartender kind of looks over. Can you read that common language there?
And then his head kind of like slinks up, like it looks up. I will have the sausage pie with bread and coffee. And then, how much is that again? Then he looks back down at the menu.
That'll be 5 silver pieces.
Then, from there, he retracts his head inside of his shell.
Okay.
And you just hear him counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh my god!
I can't wait until you have to pay like 200, right?
And his head pops up out with the silver pieces in his mouth.
Oh my god.
He sticks them out in his hand and places it under the table.
Okay. He's on the table, but he's turned around and he's already preparing your meal. Okay, so while that's going on, what's going over with other three?
Yeah. Hawk, are you doing anything, or?
You hear a big growl emitting from his stomach. Like,
Does Khal hear this?
what's your passive is 14? Yeah, you hear it. It was a fairly loud belly grumble.
I call it, what's his name? Khal will go back into his shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and places it on the table. I'll get another one for the boy.
Coming right up. Here. Puts the 2 coffees down on the table. Boy,
Thank you so much.
you old enough to drink coffee?
Coffee?
Yes, I've had all kinds of coffee. That's the black stuff in the cups, right?
It'll stunt your
Shit,
growth if you ain't.
Well, I'm pretty tall. I think I'll be good.
You know, as it goes back to preparing the meal.
Okay.
We now have 2 at the table eating. The food comes out piping hot and delicious.
Arli is kind of watching them do this, and he's like, okay. Like, he just kind of looks confused at how, like, they just wandered off to eat, and he's like, okay, sure.
Khal's
then he
gonna
looks like
slowly eat into his food.
So, I guess Gum's gonna ask, like, you mentioned Volkmore. Can you tell me more about that? How far out to sea is it? I have a hunch that we need to travel far.
You've not heard of Volkmore before. If you'd like to, Gum, give me a history check.
Okay.
Let's see if you've heard.
Volkmore.
Oh,
I have, right?
2 nat 20s in a row.
are you kidding me? So, I will send you all the information about Volkmore in a nice, tidy, but more or less it's. I'm just going to turn down the master volume for myself here, so I can hear myself think. As catchy as the tune is. Volkmar is a castle that was established on the top of a mountain. One of the Lightbringers, Arterai, built it as his personal keep after they had banished all the Night Stalkers away. So the tower and the keep is still held by the Knights of Arterai, but there's a small town, a fishing village, that's at the base of the mountain, and there's probably about the same size as Seacrest. They just refer to themselves as Volkmore, but it's actually 4 days sailing towards the east.
Okay.
You've never been there, but you've heard it's a long ways away.
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in it, since you're standing right there, Arli, you can also make a history check. if you
Oh,
want to see if you've
okay.
heard of the place.
let me do that.
You only know the name because it has to do with the legends of the Lightbringers, and you know that it's not so much the town or the fishing village, but you know that there's a keep on a mountain. That's basically all you know, and it's forever away.
Okay.
Okay. And I guess Gum will say, 5 good people? A ship that'll get us far? I may need your help. If you'd have us.
Yeah. You know, I'm always open to a charter. If the coin is right, perhaps we could excuse ourselves from Bryce here. And he kind of gives like a smug look and crosses his arms, sort of pouting. We can talk terms over here. And he can,
Okay.
as she stands up, the 5 other members kind of snap to attention. She's like, "Finish your drinks, just enjoy yourself." And she goes over to kind of like in the corner. There's like a booth, and she kind of like plops down and puts her elbows on the table, and kind of like.
Can I motion her to the table with Khal and Haku?
Yeah, you can.
Alright.
But she's not coming. She's just sitting in the
okay.
booth. Someone whispers, "That's her booth.
That's her booth?
That's her booth."
Okay. And I guess I'll motion to Arli and say, well, if the 2 of them are busy stuffing their faces, can you at least help me out?
Arli is like, I'd be most flattered to help you out.
Alright.
He just looks like he cannot believe this is happening.
Yeah. 4 days travel out to sea? It's not my cup of tea either.
Well, let's hopefully secure ourselves a willing and able sailor.
I guess we'll sit down.
Yeah, Arli's gonna sit down.
She gives you
Okay.
like kind of like a flashes, kind of like a wry smile, where one of those crooked smiles where you can only see a partial smile at the side of her mouth. So, where are you sailing to?
Arli kind of looks at Gum and then he's like, well, we're not sailing to any place in particular. We may or may not have been tasked with perhaps finding out where these sailors are going from. So it would be more of an exploratory mission.
So I see the great meisters of this fair village has finally got off their laurels and did something about the missing crew members.
Hopefully, we're trying to help. But of course, it is all on you, as none of us are technical sailors.
Sorry, did you make a statement or ask me a question? I forget.
Oh, no, he was just kind of implying that, like, we're not going to be able to do it by ourselves, so, like, it depends on, like, they didn't really get up off their laurels, they're telling other people to do it, so it kind of depends on whether you want to help us.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 4 of us overall. I assume a vessel as great as yours will have room for 4 more.
Oh, absolutely. And you'd all be able to share a berth if we're traveling longer than the day is long.
Yeah.
I could tell you, my vessel is fairly well equipped for sailing these long voyages, and all my patrons are certainly as comfortable as they can be. Did you, perchance, make your way down to the docks in Sear. The SV Schomfer.
How do you pronounce that?
Schomfer.
Schomfer?
Yeah, it's SJ
SJ.
OJ
OJ.
OMFRU.
Schomfer.
Schomfer.
Schomfer. Okay.
Distinct Nordic. This is based
Yes.
on Norse, so I've been using
Okay.
a lot of Norse words.
My gnome tongue can't wrap itself around all the adjectives, but okay. Or all the consonants, but okay.
If you say that in characters, she'll oblige and say you can just call the SBS. It's fine. I'm not offended.
Okay. Alright.
Anyways, I'm a daughter of a sailor myself. I've been sailing these waters for the last 15 years. As far as Hildford. And then, of course, going east, Bulkmore. Been to Flynn's Retreat a few times. The water's pretty choppy that way, but...
Arli kind of leans in. He's like, then you know these waters well. Tell me, what do you think is happening to these sailors?
Well, the sailors, they've been venturing out of the bay, the protective waters, in search, of course, of the fish, the schools. They've either gotten lost, blown off course, heaven forbid, a sudden ocean storm snuck up and sunk them. I've seen many things in the sea, but nothing that would, per se, sink a ship. Creature-wise,
Arli-
I'd say.
Arli kind of, he waffles his shoulder. He's like, so what makes you different? Is it your skill that you inherited from your father, experience from years of sailing? How do you manage to sail so far bay without encountering these squalls or riptides or unlucky troubles?
Well, not only am I a skilled sailor, I also have paid a lot of money for my beautiful caravel. One of the few ones that are in existence in Laikona. So it is obviously a little more seaworthy than other vessels, particularly a sailing vessel. They're not meant to go too far off the water.
So yeah, Arli kind of nods at that, and he, you can tell he kind of is, his thinking is aligned with her, like he's nodding along with it. You can tell like it's more like he's like, yeah, that makes more sense than like a sea monster or something.
Okay.
She kind of leans back and she says, is this pleasure? Are you looking for game hunting? I mean, if you guys are looking to hunt some swordfish, I certainly know where there's a breeding ground.
Arli looks vaguely pale, and he's like, no, I'm a vegetarian.
I said, I'll say, no, we're here to find the missing ships. That's all I know. That's all that was asked of us.
Okay. Well,
And we're here to talk about payment? My friends think that the cost of 3 pies with bread and coffee seems to be sufficient for something like this, but if you could convince them that this is a bit more dangerous than that, that'd be appreciated.
oh,
Because that's 15, which is apparently the cost of 3 sausage pies with bread and
now we
coffee.
know.
So, yeah,
she's kind of like chuckling to herself and, oh.
Khal kind
Folk
of
are always funny. My regular charter fees, of course, for my ship, the wear and tear, my skill as a sea captain in the skill of my crew, there is 5 mouths to feed, usually costs about 80 silver pieces.
Khal goes into his shell and starts counting in his head.
Oh God. Arli looks not disappointed. It's almost like he doesn't really have a concept of how much things cost. But when she lays it out, it's obvious. It clicks. It makes sense with him, and he just kind of looks like I acquiesce. You'd be right.
Now, mind you, most of that fee goes to paying my crew. So, I know, obviously, I'm concerned about the sailors as well.
Khal's head pops out of his shell. Do you offer a senior discount?
Roll
Seriously?
roll persuasion.
Persuasion. -1.
Oof.
Oh. I set the DC at 12, so you just barely got it.
Oh, it's amazing.
She kind of looks you over and sees your striking features, and kind of like you notice like kind of a gleam in her eye. Certainly, old one. 5% discount off the cost. How's that sound?
Khal starts to do percentage math in his head.
He's got a calculator down there.
Let's call it an even 75. It'd be 76 with a 5%.
Thank you.
It's like math hard.
Arli is kind of looking at this, and he's like, he kind of looks at her, and he's like, I understand your cost, but surely, as this affects not only the town, but also your business, something could be worked out, I'm sure. Since if people believe the waters are cursed, no one's going to want to charter any ship. And with the rumors that we were told people have been shouting, sea monsters, tools perhaps?
Sea monsters those are child's rumor to scare them at night.
I don't doubt it. However, not everyone is as adept at finding fairy tale from reality as you are. And
You see,
any kind of...
my good friend, I see what you're getting at. But be it known that I could just sail out of Seacrest and go work at multiple other locations. I don't have to call this my port of call at all. Or Bryce, maybe, for his livelihood. I feel 75 silver pieces is a fair request for my crew and my boat.
Khal will pipe in, look at Arli, like, they just simply ask for more to cover the charges.
True, that is true. And it is a fair price for 5. I just worry. You can tell he's more worried that the town doesn't have that much money, especially with the problems going on.
If they don't have it, they'll look elsewhere. So it's like, he's like, job is a job. And he's like slowly starts getting up again because he knows it's going to be a long walk back.
He's preemptively. He's like, God.
Okay.
Okay.
So, when can you leave? How ready is your crew?
Well, by the looks of them, as soon as they sober up. You can see that there's several empty mugs about them, and they're all kind of like just well into their drinks at this point.
Oh, well. No drinking and driving, people.
Of course not. No drinking and boating.
No drinking and boating.
Yes, boating, yes.
You know it is against the law, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I didn't realize, but
It's not crazy. You can drown.
no, for sure.
And
Or you can run
Also-
someone over.
Yeah, or run someone over,
Yeah.
or like swimmers and stuff. Like I live on a
It'll
lake
cause
now.
you to drown.
So many rules.
You live on a lake?
Yes, I live on a lake.
Hey.
Yeah, it's fun, except when people are drunk at all hours of the night. Anyway.
Fair.
But yeah, Arli seems like he seems like he's worried that they won't have enough money for it, and he's not very. You can tell he's very naive with money, so he's just like, I just want to help people.
Okay.
Khal will kind of like look at Arli. Let's walk and talk, I guess. Still have to.
Yuri kind of like leans forward, looking at Gum. Have we met an accord?
Yes. Have your men ready, I guess, by tomorrow morning.
Fair enough.
Is that okay?
Yeah. She extends her hand. A gentleman's handshake?
I will shake to that.
Okay, and you notice she has a very firm, and her hands are like, when you shake her hands, you can see how calloused her hands are. If someone that's pulled a lot of ropes and cords and such.
Okay. Great.
I will meet you on the morrow with a crew ready to set sail.
Okay. We'll tell the Meister that we'll be going then.
Indeed.
So are we getting up from the table?
Khal's already halfway through the door.
Well, Arli is following after, like, nodding to just the table at large and following after Khal.
Okay.
Haku's gonna follow. Still
Haku,
hanging
looks
on.
like you got your. It looks like you got your seafaring adventure after all, Haku.
Well, she seems like a pretty able captain. I'm very excited. This should be fun.
And then she knows her
We'll see how
worth,
fun.
too.
We'll see how fun drowning is, but okay. And he walks.
Okay, so you all...
Arli, like, looks after Gum and he's like, how morbid.
Like, I don't know about you guys, but I can swim.
Yes! God, yeah.
It's like, so, if it's 75 for the charter, you can still ask 15 gold per person. Gold, silver. What is gold? There's no gold. You can still ask the 64, so we just quick math. 75 and
Yeah.
60.
We should just ask for a flat 150.
And it'll take the charter out of there.
Yeah, just in case.
We can ask for the 75 up front.
Mm.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We should do that.
All right.
I may be old, but I'm wise.
Mm.
And very generous. Thank you so much for the meal.
Don't mention it.
Arli is endeared and he's like, you have lovely manners.
Thank you so much.
God. It's the golden retriever. Oh.
Okay, so you
Like,
make...
you're a new person. I love you.
Haku's bum's
Probably
wagging.
my friend.
Listen. He's just a very happy guy, okay?
Okay.
The joys of youth to be that naive, right?
Yes.
Exactly. I'm playing against character right now, man. You know this.
Okay, so you guys all make your way back to where Meister Araya has been, and kind of stumble in and make your way to the long row benches. And of course, there's no. It's currently empty, as far as you can tell.
I have a question really quick.
Yeah.
This is just how tall are doorways here?
Most of them are about 7 feet.
Okay, great.
Oh.
Just wondering.
There are some tall folks.
Yeah, no.
Like I'm
Arlie's,
6 foot
Arlie,
something, but I'm like 450 pounds.
yeah, Arlie's 6'6".
Okay.
Wow, that puts me middle of the pack then? Haku's 6, so that makes Gum super short.
Baby.
I am super short. Oh god.
You're at like people's
Right?
knees or
Oh.
something, right?
Yeah. I'm like 3 foot something. It's quite short.
Okay, you're taller than Kree. My halfling.
But your grumpiness is 3 times more than any of us.
I think he's just grumpy from craning his neck, looking up at you all.
Yeah, that would cause some internal disturbance for Arlie because he's like, I don't know if I should bend down or if that's demonic. So he's kind of just
Like that meme on how to talk to short people.
yeah, where you kind of just split.
You are very small.
Bob.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Okay. Okay, so you're all in
Yep.
the net's the net. They're standing awkwardly.
So Haku's gonna look around for Master Araya if she's here.
Are you gonna look at the veil behind, or pull back the curtains?
No, literally just like scan the room. Is the room empty?
Yeah.
Oh.
I will say, "We're back." Sorry.
You hear a distant shuffling, and then the curtain pulls back. Oh yes, thank you for coming back. So,
Khal will like plop down on the ground with like a thud. Like,
I trust that you've been down to the Salty Cod and has met the sailors. I trust they were there, drinking.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yes, we needed to get them to agree to charter us, as you suggested.
And did they comply? Were they helpful?
Do you know Miri by any chance?
I know of her. She's been in town for quite a while. Her father was an excellent sailor. Charming woman.
I'm glad her reputation precedes her. We'll be enlisting her help.
Good choice. Good choice. She has a fine caravel. I will caution you though, she has a temper, but she doesn't pull no punches. She doesn't like something. She'll let you know.
She seemed nice.
So about that payment.
Yes, you come back and wish to settle terms, right? She kind of like comes forward and steps off the dais, kind of more on level with everyone. I don't know who's sitting and who's standing at this point. I think Khal's sitting, definitely.
I don't know if sitting would make me taller or not.
It might.
I have a feeling like you're the type of person who doesn't take a seat unless it's
That's
on a
true.
chair.
Yeah.
Or are you standing on the chair? So that you're like staring at her eye to eye.
I'll stand on the chair.
That puts him at a
That
solid
seems
like
bad.
5 feet.
There you go.
Yeah, she's not much. She's not much taller. But she's about like 5'4".
Yeah.
Very kind of like.
Taller than me.
Oh, in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Gum was it?
Yes, gum.
All right. So let's discuss terms of compensation. Have you met a number? You all seem to have met the sailors and understand their charter costs and what have you.
Yeah. I'll look to the group and then just say, 150 for this quest of yours. 75 for the sailors, 75 for us. Seems fair,
It seems
I guess.
Don't backtrack. Sit with your chest.
Sorry, did you hear that? Oh,
Sorry, is someone talking? Sorry, I was typing in a key command. Is someone talking to me, or are you guys talking in or out of character?
Gum was saying it to you.
yeah.
You were asking if she accepts, right?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
suggest 150.
Okay, you suggested 150. She pauses, and then she, you can see her kind of like thinking to herself for a second. 150 silver pieces. More than happy to oblige you all.
Shit.
Damn
Arli's like, I see this as an absolute win.
Well, that's good. That means that they can afford it. So,
Yeah.
With that, and she also pauses, and she says, what I request is just information. Sail with Mary, and see what information, hopefully, with her vessel, in your eyes, you can scan and see if you can learn anything, find anything, any information to bring peace to these families.
Khal will kind of raise his neck a little bit and ask, so for the payment we're agreeing on, it's just information. If we act upon anything there, will it be considered a bonus?
I would have to say, if you act upon any information and comes to, say, certainly any other resolution, there would be definitely bonuses befitting what transpires. That's more than fair, right? We would most likely, in the best case scenario, find all these sailors and bring them home to their families. That would be just marvelous.
Sounds fair to me.
yeah.
Then he's kind of looking around. I believe we might need some gold, some silver up front to cover the charter. That's something you can do.
I'll tell you what, I will make my way and find Mary and pay her myself. That way I can see that she gets the fees for her charter. And you can worry at the task at hand. And then there will be 75 silver pieces waiting for you upon your arrival with information.
Someone doesn't trust us.
Yeah.
She's just trying to make our job easier.
Yeah. Khal doesn't say anything. He just has that little blank stare of his with a little crooked smile. Well, old man smile. And leave it at that. Probably making her a little bit uncomfortable.
Nope. Alright, did you discuss terms of when you're going to prepare to sail and voyage out?
Tomorrow morning, I believe.
Oh, good. Fresh start to the day. Wonderful. So, if this is your first time in Seacrest, I can certainly offer you can stay here. You can pull out your bedrolls and what have you and rest. There are some stables across from the Salty Cod. You can go in there and you can find Leaf, and he can find you a stall with fresh hay if that would be more comfortable for you. And explore Seacrest and what it has to offer.
Do you have a place where they trade goods?
Say that again?
Khal was asking for trade goods.
Oh yes, Quinn's. Just behind the hall here. Pointing in the direction of
Khal,
before.
yeah. Khal again preemptively gets up, knowing that he can get the door slow.
Oh my god. Sorry, but you know that thing where, like, everyone looks at the bell in class and starts preemptively packing up?
Yeah.
And the teacher's like,
Yeah.
the bell doesn't dismiss you, I dismiss you. But yeah, like, that's Khal, like, in person. Like, just,
Khal is of the mind where, like, speed isn't everything. Good timing, he'll speed. He's already getting up and moving towards the door.
She kind of curtsies a little bit and says, "A verbal agreement then that shall be honored, as the gods above look upon us, and we are people of our words."
Oh.
She kind of flashes, kind of like a smile, and then whips around and heads back behind the curtain.
Gosh.
Okay.
So, are we just being left to our own devices then?
Yeah, we're gonna
Dan?
segue. Gonna segue right now to kind of like shopping spree, or
Yeah, montage.
yeah.
I was gonna go shopping.
Montage!
I got money, man.
Mostly because you can't sail out without a cat. You can't have a cat mysteriously appear on a boat.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's fair, yeah.
Wait
You
now.
just see something swimming across and it gets closer and closer and you're like, what is that? And it's a cat.
Just see a
Oh
cat.
my god, it's a cat.
Why does that cat have a sword? It's coming right for us.
They're reeling in. Look what I caught!
Meow, 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 meow. Meow.
Could be a stowaway cat.
I love
Wow.
chicken. I love liver.
A bird drops the cat.
Yeah.
Air support incoming.
Yeah.
Cat drops.
Okay, so what we'll probably do at this point is I'll let everyone can see kind of the layout, the legend here, and just kind of tell me what you would like to do. It's I'm gonna say it's roughly 1 or 2 o'clock. You have a whole afternoon and a night to yourselves. What does everyone wish to do? And then we can kind of break off and resolve.
I was
that.
gonna go to Trader Quinn's.
Okay.
Hmm.
Haku?
Just out of curiosity, would I know what the Defender's Brace is? Is that the weapon store in town?
It's a coppersmith, and let's see, it is number 5. I'll just say generally kind of like from the fish market, you could have seen the lights and the amber. It's kind of open in the front, and you have pretty, based on everyone's passives, knowledge that hey, that's a coppersmith, because they're in every town.
Okay. And then, just out of curiosity, is this area back here, is that like just woods behind the town? Haku's going to go out to the woods and train by picking up
That
sticks
isn't
and like
safe.
swatting at him.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna come back to the longhouse and sleep before the sun sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is kind of a fortification, not really well marked on the map, that goes around.
Okay.
The yellow boxes, are they just a residence? Or
Yeah,
like-
those are residents. The citizens.
But yeah, Haku just wants to go off and train somewhere, and then just come back and sleep at the longhouse.
Okay. And Arli?
He's gonna kind of go, down by, like, the docks and kind of get just, like, a feel for people, kind of just walk the town. Generally, he kind of wants to see what the atmosphere is and, like, what type of people there are, and then he'd go back to the longhouse to sleep.
Okay, I can tell you right now. You just talking to people, they're good, honest, hardworking people. Fishing isn't the easiest trade. Sometimes you have a good catch, sometimes you don't. They're all they're used to the sea and the wind, and just generally, honestly, good, hardworking people. You go down the docks, and I'm not saying it's like a seedy part, because they have, like I said, 2 sailing vessels, fishing vessels, that there's moors for them, but they're out fishing today. The only boats that you see that are actually on the harbor is the longboat and the caravel.
Okay.
And last but not least, Gum.
So I guess Gum will go to the docks to see if he can spot the SVS Shojum fruit.
Yeah. You can. It's at the very
and-
end of the wharf that juts out a
Yeah.
good 40 feet into the water. And it's a fine sailing vessel.
Is there anyone in it?
No.
Is Miri there?
No, not right now. It's
Oh.
just it's moored.
Oh.
There's no plank. It's basically the top of it is higher than the wharf, but there's two long ropes, one from the bow and one from the stern, that comes down, and you see these wooden, large wooden, look like capital T, and the knots are sailor knots that are under the part of the T, and they're looped to keep it moored along the side of it, and it's kind of like bobbing up with the waves.
Okay. I was going to ask Miri or maybe one of her sailors if they can teach me something so that I'm not a useless, I guess, person on hand.
Yeah, if you want to go back to the tavern, you can. They're probably
Right. I guess they'd be there. Okay.
And
Because he's nervous, he doesn't know like how useful he'll be. Less to be a use and more because he is a bit afraid that if something happens, that it'll just be more dangerous to not know anything about sailing. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I will say with your passive perception, as you come to that end of the pier, out into the bay, in the distance, facing south, you actually see. I don't know how often people go out to the ocean or the sea, and in the horizon you see like usually on the line of the horizon, if there's a large landmass, you see like a faint blue outline. You can see three large faint blue outlines at various junctures out directly south.
Okay.
And that's the first time you've noticed it because you were out and actually onto the pier. There's the
Okay.
dock, and then the pier is juts off the dock into the water.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So we'll switch back to Khal, who's approaching Quint's trade goods. Then.
Yep. Khal would just kind of look at the door and slowly open it, try to walk in.
So, as you approach this is kind of like a ramshackle, just kind of like a square-shaped building. It actually looks like kind of like a barn that's about to collapse. It's kind of tilted left. It's kind of like, but it's obviously still holding. And as you kind of open up the front door, you can see just stacks of crates and barrels. They're all kind of stacked haphazardly, basically from the floor to ceiling. There's boxes. You see fishing tackle, all sorts of various goods. You hear from around a stack, you hear kind of like some movement, and you see this gentleman kind of emerge. He's actually not very tall. He's probably a little bit taller than Gum, but he's got white hair pulled back in a ponytail. He's wearing these kind of fine, kind of like robes, not robes, but more like a tunic that has blue shoulders and like white sleeves. And they have like nice little stitching going down the side of them. And he's got these like comfortable kind of like brown trousers with big pockets, like cargo pants on them, and they're filled with things because it's like they're bulging out like there's stuff in them. And he kind of comes out in, "Hello, how may I help you? I am Quint."
Khal will kind of stare at him. Hi.
You come far away, do ya?
You could say so, yes.
Well, welcome to my trade goods store.
What do you have in stock that will do good for sailing?
Well, various ropes and netting and such. It's all up here, you see. Feel free to browse if you find something interesting. I'll give you a price on it.
Khal will slowly break eye contact and start looking around, painfully slow.
Yeah. You see that he kind of also equally kind of like moves very slowly back to you see the stool kind of like amongst all the clutter, and he kind of like hops up on it, and just kind of watches you as you kind of rummage through that stuff. Out of character, what would you be looking for specifically, Sam?
Honestly, I have nothing in mind.
Okay.
You know what? The one thing I am looking for a sailor's captain's hat.
You're looking for a captain's hat.
That's for the lulz, but everything else I was just trying to see if I find anything interesting.
Okay, so the way that I'm gonna run Quinn's shop, usually I have an item list, but because he has this kind of like all sorts of countless stuff, really kind of depends on if you're looking for. I'll roll on the table and see if he has it there, depending on its rarity. I will roll for the captain's hat, see if he can find it. But you can just anything else you can think of that you might be specifically looking for.
Honestly, I can't think of anything. I was hoping
Okay.
you had just like a random list for me.
Nope, not in this place. Oh. So you are rummaging through a particular pile, and in this particular, it's like a crate, you see various types of hats. And as you're rummaging through, you happen to find a tricorn hat. It's dusty and it's kind of bent out of shape, but it still seemed to be in fairly good condition.
Like me. He will grab the hat, show it to raise it over his head. He's like, how much for the hat?
Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful hat. He kind of thinks. What would you offer for it?
That's not how it works. I'm asking you.
120 silver pieces.
70.
Roll persuasion.
That's a 2 minus 1.
He looks at you.
Oh my god.
No.
He's gonna set the hat down. It wasn't meant to be.
It is a nice hat. I think it'll look really nice on you.
No, but Jay has a good point.
Did Jay
Not to play the meta, the Tortles wearing tricorn hats and our games don't end well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he kind of wants to study the hat. Is there anything more to this hat? Or does it just look like an old...
It's just an old beat-up hat that you can tell this old individual has come into possession with, and is now here for sale.
Well, if you don't have a list of stuff, I don't know what else to buy, so you can go to everyone else, and maybe I can think of something, maybe at the end of it. He's going to continue slowly browsing.
Alright, do you want me to do a random roll, 3 items, and see if it interests you?
If you can do that, would be great.
Alright, I will do that after I'm going to switch
Yeah.
over
Go to everyone else.
Yep. Switch over to Gum, who has made his
Okay.
way back to the tavern. In the tavern, you can see that it's a little bit less busy. I'm just gonna be lazy, not switch to the tavern music. But actually, we'll just say that the minstrels have left, and you see Bryce sitting with one other individual, but you do happen to see the human boars, and you actually see another gnome male sitting there next to the human.
Okay. Are they part of Bryce's crew or Miri's crew? Do I know this?
You recognize Boris, the human male, as being part of Miri's crew.
Okay.
Bryce is by someone that, like basically the person that was silent the whole time, and that other than the barkeep who's just counting coins and stuff, that's all the people in the tavern at this time.
Okay. I guess I'll go up to Boars then and say, guess we're gonna get to know each other over the next couple days.
I think so. So when do
The name's... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you want to sit down and join us for a drink? This is Gregory. Hello.
Gregory the Gnome?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh.
That's what happens when we have random lists for random characters.
And Gum goes, pleasure to meet you. My name's Gum. It's my first time out to sea, but I hear you're well-traveled sailors.
We like to think so. Boris kind of like is saying, we've done a fair share of sailing with Miri, back and forth, what have you. We do fishing too, but charters pay better. Don't you agree, Gregory? Yeah!
Hey, let's go. Let's eat. Take a break.
I say, anything I should know then to prepare for this trip? As I said, I don't have much experience in this line of work. And I'd like to not be a dead hand if, that matters to you.
First trick is porridge in the morning. Eat some porridge, get a full belly. Help you on if you're not used to the waves, the motion. If you're going to be sick, get sick over the rail, not on the deck. And certainly not below deck. Miri hates that. And if it's too choppy for you, tie some rope around yourself so you don't fall back and forth.
I guess your crew knows how to manage it yourselves then? You don't need our help?
We got everything under control. We find that anyone that usually charters, they just get in the way. And then Gregory kind of pauses. Yeah, get in the way! Get below deck!
Okay. Mary seems confident that nothing could eat a ship. Do you share her confidence?
You hear kind of Gregory kind of laugh out loud.
Oh.
And
I mean,
Boris kind of like puts his mug down and kind of leans into you. Gum.
mm-hmm. Yes.
Ever see a kraken before?
I take a step back. Have I?
Have you ever sailed before?
Have I?
I'm gonna say no based on the fact that I don't think you have ever sailed before. So
Yeah,
just based on that fact, no.
Yeah. My face kind of drops. It says, Kraken. No. What Kraken?
You haven't heard the tale of the kraken. Hear that, Gregory? He hasn't heard of a giant sea creature that pulls vessels under the water, owning the deepest parts of the waters. Long as the trail is from here to Palon, giant monstrosity with limbs and... If you ever get away from the kraken, he kind of looks at you. Hell, I'm just fucking with you. We haven't.
I mean, yeah.
We haven't
Mhm.
seen too much. We see things in the water, but we're way up on deck. You're fine.
Let's hope so. And then I guess Gum will drink with them to like ease his nerves a little bit.
Okay, and through the conversation, from what you can understand through the loud outbursts from Gregory, he kind of like, because he's also known, but like, he kind of reassures you like, low center of balance. you'll be good. Tall folk puke a lot. And he also says that his family's been here in Seacrest his entire life. I don't know how much you gleaned to him about. He said there's not a lot of gnomes in Seacrest. He's chartered a couple that were from Palan, and he asked if you were related to any of the gnomes out of Palan. Kind of just making pleasantries. And
Okay.
And like Boris has said, we'll teach you how to do some sailing knots to come in handy in and outside of the sea. He said if you're willing to learn, they'll teach you some of the knots.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. I'd rather not get tossed off and eaten by this kraken of yours.
And he comes back and asks if you want to partake in some of the liquor that's on the menu. He was buying. Basically, wanted to know if you want to do some shots.
Yeah. Give me what you're having then.
Okay.
Let's see what sailors have in these parts.
Okay, so he would probably at this point have been drinking most of the afternoon. He would probably be drinking 3 or 4 shots. Are you gonna drink all those 4 shots? It's not costing you anything.
I suppose.
Alright, I would like you to I'll give you a Constitution saving throw. See how well, after the first 2. I'm gonna set a DC.
Okay. 9.
9.
9 for 1. Oof.
Yeah, after the first 2, you hold it down,
Yeah.
but you're really buzzed at this point. So he sets the third one down in front of you. Gonna continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll go. He's scared, but he doesn't want to show it. Really.
Yeah.
Like he'll say it, but yeah.
Okay. Oh,
4. All right. No, yeah.
you. Not long after slamming down the third one, you feel a burning sensation in your stomach, and it comes up for you, and you start throwing up.
Oh, okay.
So you lost the Constitution game, but that's okay. They're patting you on the back and say, "Yeah, it's a rite of passage."
Just don't tell me to kiss a cod or anything.
What?
Have you never heard of that?
Oh, I have, but they've kind of like,
Okay.
Here, that sounds like a fun tradition. And that's
Oh,
how your
God.
night goes. They actually, I don't know where are you sleeping in the town hall, or are you sleeping in the stables are actually right across the street from the tavern.
I was gonna sleep in the town hall.
Okay, so they kind of help you stagger back to the town hall, and that's kind of how your night ends.
Nice. Okay.
All right, so we'll just go back to Khal. Question mark?
Yes.
Okay, so rummaging through there, just kind of a lot of it seems to be junk. You happen to find 2 glass bottles, roughly the size of a 24-ounce bottle, and they're empty, but they're corked. So 2 glass bottles that are capable of being corked. Continuing rummaging, you find a common lock. There's a key for the lock. You find a shovel, something that's in very good condition. Seems to have an oak handle as well as kind of like a mahogany shaft that it's attached to. And
To hide the body.
you actually find a stack of parchment. There's 10 sheets of parchment that are blank, and there's kind of like a twine that's they're rolled up, but you can count how many individual pieces there are, and they're rolled up with a piece of twine. Any of that interest you?
Kyle's a bit, what's the time? He'll look at himself. He just kind of rummages until he kind of like loses track of time.
Yeah.
And then eventually like, well, maybe next time. And he starts walking out. and like with a little, like a quick little hand wave.
Yeah, Quint kind of raises his hand and have a good day.
And I guess he's just gonna make his way to the place where he's sleeping, the tinning, right?
The Tinnig is kind of like the church.
Sorry.
The town hall is very close, if that's where you're going.
Oh.
Yeah. And
Oh,
as
okay.
sun is setting, Haku, you're back. Definitely get back before dark, but you've spent all afternoon practicing swinging and feeling the weight of your weapon, working up a bit of a sweat, but you're quite happy with your training for the afternoon to make your way back. And Arli is back as well. Everyone rolls out their bed rolls and comfortably makes themselves at home for the evening as the night sets in. And that is where we'll end tonight's session. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining me. Like I said before, it was a pleasure. Does anyone have any out-of-character questions about the setting or anything?
No questions, but I like it so far.
Hello, this is Malachi from the Night Sparrows, and you've been listening to a presentation of the Harp and Hearth Tavern D&D group. You can find us at SoundCloud as the Harp and Hearth, and we also have a Discord, the Harp and Hearth Tavern. I hope you enjoyed this session. And cut.